No changes to the Kansas Constitution. The Associated Press calling the value them both amendment vote, with 62% of Kansans voting no. We'll have more on that in just a moment. Good evening. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jeff Herndon. And I'm Emily Younger. Results from the primary election coming into the KSN newsroom as we speak. You can see them as they're updated scrolling at the bottom of your screen. Tonight, we have team coverage of the biggest vote in our country. Kansans are the first to weigh in on abortion rights following the Supreme Court's reversal of Roe versus Wade. The divisive issue, the driving force behind a higher than normal voter turnout for a primary. Many people waiting a while to cast their ballot, but perhaps not as long as those who tried to vote at Linwood Recreation Center in Wichita. The line wrapped throughout the building hours after polls closed. The line so long, local leaders put out a plea for more help. KSN Zach Martin joins us live. Zach, what happened out there?
I am out here at the Linwood Recreation Center as the last person to cast their ballot just left a few moments ago after waiting in line for hours. And this was due to a shortage of election employees able to help here at the Linwood Center. I was able to speak with both city and county officials about the long lines.
I got a call saying there was a 3-hour wait at a location, and I just said, well, I'm going to go hype some people up so that they'll stay in line. Because what we don't want is for people to, there are moms and dads in here with their kids. Kids are hungry. Kids get anxious, right? And I don't want them to feel like they can't vote because they have a kid that's a little anxious.
But just to walk in and see it and hear the folks talk about how long they've been in line and the folks who brought their kids, and it's dedication, but I think it's a great example for us. Your vote matters, and it's that important that you stay there.
I was also able to speak with some of those waiting.
I'm here. I'm going to exercise my right. Nothing will stop that. I will stay here until I have to go to work in the morning if I have to.
I have a mother in the ER. She's waiting with my sister right now. This is an important issue, and my mom would want me to vote, because she didn't get to vote.
The very last person in line says she showed up right before 7, but the long wait wasn't going to keep her from casting a ballot.
I just wanted to get to the end of the line and make sure that I was in line. Literally, that's all I was thinking. Not just for the people of today, but for the people of tomorrow and for their future.
Both Councilman Johnson as well as Commissioner Cruz said that tonight's top priority was just making sure everyone was able to cast their ballot. Now that that's done, they say they do want to find a remedy to tonight's problems before Wichita has another election. Here for you from the Linwood Recreation Center, Zach Martin, KSN News 3.
Jeff, Emily, I wish I could show you just how busy it is inside the historic county courthouse. It is bumper to bumper traffic with poll workers, supervising judges, and runners. They've literally set up a row of chairs for people to sit and wait as they process those ballot boxes. Meanwhile, county courthouse police tell me they have never seen primary election traffic this busy. Now, we do know there are still 10 polling sites, according to the county, that are still processing those votes. And of course, these are people that came in before the 7 p.m. deadline. Now, the county doesn't necessarily need to wait until all 81 precincts have reported 100% of votes, but the county does tell us that this is potentially a historic primary election, potentially record-breaking turnout, and quote, they want to get this right, and that's why they are taking their time making sure that every single vote is counted in a timely fashion. Again, there are some results that are posted. We do have those on our website, specifically early in-person voting and advanced voting. Again, we will continue to keep you updated as those results come in on our website. That's KSN.com. Here for you at the historic county courthouse, Hannah Adamson, KSN News 3.
Okay, thank you very much. We want to talk about another issue that came up today in Sedgwick County. Voters assigned to the Mays Recreation Center who were in line before the polls closed were told they needed to go to another location to cast their ballot.
Then a lady came out walking through the parking lot and she said, the computers are down. She goes, they're going to be down for 2 hours. Go to Life Church. And so everybody scrambled for their cars to see who could get to Life Church first.
The Sedgwick County Election Commissioner released a statement tonight, actually just about an hour ago, and it says in part, quote, "This was an inappropriate decision made by the election workers. This was immediately addressed with those workers. Well, that increased voter turnout in a large part because of the Value Them Both amendment. The Associated Press calling the Value Them Both amendment vote 62% of Kansans voting no.
And the vote yes talking right now after the vote was called. Let's listen in here.
Our movement has endured so much over 50 years. 50 years. This setback is not going to stop us. Our resolve has never been stronger than in this very moment. So, with that, we have to really thank the countless Kansans across our state who have given their heart and soul to this movement, for the Value Them Both movement, because Kansas is a pro-life state, and we do value both women and children. So to reiterate, we're not going anywhere, and we are more resolved than ever. I am so proud to stand here and to be a part of this movement for each and every one of you being here this evening. My heart is gladdened to see so much help we received from individuals across so many different faith traditions, from Catholic traditions, from evangelical traditions, mainline Protestant traditions. We had members of the Muslim faith. We had individuals who had no faith, but they cared about women and children in our state. And that should give us all the hope that we need in this difficult time, in this time of confusion.
And we're going to check in with the Vote No group in just a few moments. But first, tens of thousands of votes have yet to be counted. Secretary of State's office said as of this morning, about 37,000 mail-in ballots are outstanding. And as long as those are postmarked by today and arrive at the election office by Friday, they will be counted. We also have ballots that were cast in person today that have not been tallied just yet. But like we've mentioned earlier, the AP has called it with the amendment question failing, with 62% of Kansans voting no. So the big question is, what does this mean for Kansas? We want to bring in KSN's Craig Andrus. And Craig, you just spoke with our political analyst.
It's no secret. Yeah, we expected a much larger turnout on this issue compared to what we call a normal primary. Our analyst on this vote tells me this really got out the vote. Jeff Jarman tells me there have been a lot of new voters that got registered and a lot of voters that maybe don't vote in a primary. They got out for this one. He says that's one of the key takeaways in the end result. Jeff Jarman, that is, says voters of all stripes will now be energized to start voting or continue voting in that general election coming up for politics and politicians that will make the decisions.
We knew this was probably going to set a record for a primary just because of the issue, but this is a real sign that this is an issue that matters to Kansans, and that's why they're waiting so long in the lines.
All right, Jarman's saying this is going to really energize those general elections, but he also said we may have a record turnout there. Time will tell, especially considering we've had people waiting in line here literally within the past hour. Craig Andrus, KSN News 3.
All right, Craig, thank you very much. State of Kansas split on the Value Them Both amendment question. Check out this map as it stands right now. The counties that you see in green here, they tallied more no votes right now. The ones that you see in tan, they tallied more yes votes. Well, yes, dominating western Kansas, mostly no in the eastern part of the state. We check in with Sedgwick County as it stands right now. About 54,000 no votes to 37,000 yes votes. Now, this is just a snapshot. We're going to continue to update these numbers, and you can access this interactive map. See the numbers for yourself on our website at ksn.com.
Turning now, let's take a look at some of the big races across the state. Perhaps the most contested, the Republican primary for Attorney General. It featured former Secretary of State Chris Kobach, Senator Kelly Warren, and former U.S. Attorney Tony Matavie. Right now, a relatively tight race among Kobach and Warren, with Kobach leading by about 8,000 votes against Kelly Warren. There was no primary for the Democrats since they only have one person running for Attorney General. Chris Mann is a former police officer turned prosecutor. He's now in private practice in Lawrence. Let's turn now to who will lead our state the next 4 years. Governor Laura Kelly up for re-election. She overwhelmingly defeated challenger Richard Karnowski. In November, she will face the winner of the Republican primary, who, as expected, will be current Attorney General Derek Schmidt and his running mate, McPherson native Katie Sawyer, who easily defeated challenger Arlen Briggs. So looking ahead to November, we will see Democrat incumbents Laura Kelly and David Toland face off against Republicans Derek Schmidt and Katie Sawyer, along with Libertarians Seth Cordell and Evan Loddick Gaines, and potentially Senator Dennis Pyle and Kathleen Garrison. Pyle changed his party affiliation from Republican to Independent recently. Yesterday, he turned in a petition with 8,900 signatures to appear on the November ballot. That petition must still be affirmed by the Secretary of State.
Okay, let's turn our focus now to another state race tonight. Republican primary for Secretary of State, incumbent Scott Schwab facing challenger Mike Brown, general contractor and former Johnson County Commissioner. So far, no winner declared, but Schwab is currently leading. The winner here will face Democrat Gina Repass in November. Moving now to a couple of federal races tonight. U.S. Senate incumbent Jerry Moran, as expected, declared the winner pretty early tonight, the primary against Joan Farr. And a loaded race on that Democratic side for that Senate seat. 6 people facing off tonight. Mark Holland has been declared the winner. He will face off against Jerry Moran in November.
And we want to get to the other side of the constitutional amendment vote for us tonight. We have Denisha Richards. She's live from Overland Park.
Well, we've been here throughout the night watching those votes roll in. And as you can see behind me right now, there is a lot of happiness here at the venue here in Overland Park. Earlier today, we spoke with leaders with Kansans for Freedom. They said that they were cautiously optimistic about how the victory would be tonight. And as you can see right now, Kansans have spoken. Abortion will remain a constitutional right here in Kansas. We also heard from different leaders throughout the night. We heard from Sharice Davids. We heard from the ACLU. Just people all coming together talking about why this vote is important to Kansans and how this could affect Kansas. Well, now we know, once again, abortion is now a constitutional right here in the state. And as you can see behind me, people are starting to roll out and head home, but the feels here in the room is just a lot of good feels as they've been working for months to make this happen. And now here we are tonight in a victory. Back to you in the studio.
Denisha, thank you. And you can see more election results posted on KSN.com. And welcome back to KSN News at 10. People in Sedgwick County ran into several issues while trying to vote in this historic primary election.
County Election Commissioner finally ready to answer some of our questions. Let's listen in.
We did assure everyone who is in line at 7 o'clock that they could vote. So we made sure that's happening. We actually are still receiving some sites in. I think everybody's been worked through the process, but we are still receiving some sites in, and so still waiting on getting some of those final results for you. We did have a bit of a mishap this afternoon or this evening where at one site some election workers indicated to some people in line that they needed to leave and go to another location in order to vote. That was an incorrect decision that they did not have the authority to make, but we quickly worked to rectify the situation. We did get a hold of those election workers and inform them and sent notices out to all of our sites that if these individuals showed up, that they should be allowed to vote provisionally. And we've got a process in place to verify who those voters were, and so we can work to address those votes appropriately. But it was a busy day. We had a lot of voters turn out, really unprecedented in this type of election. So we are very excited about the turnout and are working to finalize those results. We're still getting some in, and we should have some more for you soon.
Commissioner, we've had a lot of questions regarding that 7 o'clock time frame. As of 9:30, you still had 10 locations that were still processing voters. Can you again address how many voting locations you had and just how difficult it was to, I guess, process all those voters?
Well, we have 81 Election Day voting locations in Sedgwick County, and we did have a lot of people apply to vote early by mail and a lot of people early in person. So we did know this was going to be a heavy, well-attended election. We did expect those lines, and we did see some lines today. But we are very excited that a lot of people came out to have their voice heard and get their vote cast.
And how many polling locations had issues with voting machines?
I heard of a couple, but as these voting machines issues come up, we do have a fully staffed technical staff that goes out and addresses the issues.
We had a lot of reports of not enough poll workers. Can you address the poll worker situation, how many folks you had, and was that one of the issues not enough staff members.
We had a lot of poll workers, but we also had a lot of voters.
What was your biggest surprise today?
I don't know that there was a big surprise, but we certainly were excited to see all the voters come out. And I apologize, I could probably take another question, but I do have to get back. We have some more tabulation to do.
Electioneering and long lines were the initial concerns before the polls closed. Any other concerns that came up as the polls continued to close at 7?
You know, every election is different, and we certainly know that, that the lines were a concern to some people. We definitely address issues as they come up, and we were just excited to see a lot of people get out and vote.
A push for more poll workers in future elections?
I'm always recruiting poll workers, so anybody who's interested should go to our website and sign up.
And any concerns regarding electioneering, do you want to address that?
Electioneering is something that takes place on election day, and anything that was reported to us within the poll site, we work to address if appropriate. There are some things that sometimes can be done in the community, and some of those things should be reported to law enforcement if they are not within our purview, but we are not enforcement agents. But anything we see within the polling site, we do work to address swiftly. And I am sorry, I do need to go back and get to the tabulation room. Thank you.
And that was a live interview with the Sedgwick County Election Commissioner discussing the issues that we ran into at polling locations and delays in results. She said there was unprecedented voter turnout. They're still working to get votes in. They will work to get results in as soon as possible. You know, you could hear our reporters, our team asking about what happened. Why were some people waiting in line for more than 3 hours? Yeah, and the question was asked about the number of poll workers here. In fact, we had 2 Sedgwick County commissioners tonight around 9 o'clock go on their social media and put out a plea for more workers to come to Linwood, where we had a line wrapped around the building hours after polls closed. And she did say that she believed they had enough. They had a lot of poll workers tonight, and again, placing the blame, I guess, so to speak, on the unprecedented turnout of voters. But she said that they did expect that many voters as well. She also did discuss some voting machine issues. She said that there were technicians that went in and fixed those. But again, still a lot of questions we have for Sedgwick County and what they can do better next time.
And we're going to be following up with those questions the rest tomorrow and the rest of this week for sure. We'll be right back.